you have to be on the sunny side of the planet, and you have to be in the path of the moon's shadow. So, if you find your area in the path of totality one year, you've hit the jackpot, because on average, that same spot on Earth will only get to see a solar eclipse every 375 years. During a solar eclipse, the moon casts a shadow with two parts, the umbra and penumbra. The moon's umbra is part of the moon's shadow where the entire sun is blocked by the moon. In space, it's a cone extending some 400,000 kilometers behind the moon. It's when the small end of this cone hits the Earth that we experience a total solar eclipse. Most eclipse maps depicting the path will show you a circle representing the shadow of the moon, but in actuality, the true shape of the umbra is more like an irregular polygon with slightly curved edges. This is because the moon isn't a perfect circle. It has mountains and valleys on its surface, which all affect the passing sunlight and subsequent shape of its shadow. And scientists now have a greater understanding of the shape of the moon's surface, thanks to NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. The unprecedented level of detail from the topographic maps, photos, and other datasets has allowed us to more precisely pinpoint the regions on Earth falling within the path of totality of a solar eclipse. So, if you get the chance to witness a solar eclipse, always remember that our little moon plays a role that's quite large.
Sorry about that. I should not try to tweak my presentation during the video. On Monday, April 8th, the Dallas-Fort Worth area will experience a total solar eclipse. Now, as the video mentioned, this amazing event only happens in a specific location about every 375 years. So please don't think you can just wait for the next one. On this map, you can see the narrow path that the shadow of the eclipse will cover as it moves across the United States. This is the path of totality, which means that the sun will be completely blocked by the moon. The good news is that we are in one of the best places to see this year's solar eclipse. People are traveling from all over the country, even the world, to prime locations to watch this eclipse. I've heard that hotels and Airbnbs have been booked for months for this event all over Texas, especially in the Hill Country and San Antonio area. Some officials are suggesting that we stock up on supplies and gas since there will be so many additional people in the area during this time. We even have a few North Texas school districts that are closing school for the day. Now, it is likely that we will have some solar power interruption during the eclipse, so the state does have plans to rely on other methods of power generation during this time. The entire eclipse will last 4.5 hours, but totality will only be a little over 4 minutes. There are 3 types of solar eclipses. We've already talked about the total eclipse. An annular eclipse is what we had last October 14th. The Dallas-Fort Worth area had a partial view of that eclipse. I was lucky enough to be at the annual meeting in McAllen where we had a full view of that eclipse, and we were hosted on the Al Saws Ranch outside Port Mansfield. Even though it was a cloudy day, we had a great experience. The wind came out and blew the clouds off, and we had a great view. If you have a chance to view this eclipse with a group of people, I highly recommend it because it makes the experience so much more special. Because the moon was at its furthest point in its orbit from the Earth at that time, known as its apogee, it didn't completely block the sun. Instead, a dramatic ring or ring of fire effect was seen as the bright edges of the sun were visible around the dark silhouette of the moon, which you can see in that middle picture on the slide. And because this distinct appearance of this style of eclipse is why it's called an annular eclipse, because annular means ring-like. A partial eclipse occurs as the moon passes between the sun and the earth, but doesn't completely cover the sun. It gives the sun a crescent shape. There's actually a fourth type called a hybrid. Because the Earth's surface is curved, sometimes an eclipse can shift between the annular and total style as the moon's shadow moves across the globe, causing this hybrid style of eclipse. After April 8th, the next total eclipse will be in 2026, and that one will be visible from the northern fringes of Greenland, Iceland, and Spain, if anyone wants to take a vacation. The next annular eclipse will be on October 2nd in 2024, and that one will be visible from the Pacific Ocean and southern Chile and Argentina. And on March 29th, 2025, a partial solar eclipse will be visible in Europe, parts of Asia and Africa, and parts of North and South America. Totality, seen here, is the only time you may safely view the sun without protection. This incredible view is what you can expect to see, weather permitting, on April 8th. Solar eclipses only happen during the new moon phase, when the moon is directly between the Earth and the sun. As I mentioned before, the eclipse will last 4.5 hours, but totality will only be a little over 4 minutes. There are 4 stages to a solar eclipse. First contact is when the moon begins to travel across the sun, and it looks like a bite has been taken out of the sun. Second contact happens around an hour and 20 minutes after first contact. It's during this stage that you might see undulating lights of line known as shadow bands. Here there may be changes in the wildlife around you. You might notice that birds stop singing and the skies get darker, and some animals might have changes in their eating and sleeping patterns. Towards the end of this phase, you get to see the unique phenomenon of Bailey's beads and the diamond ring effect. Totality takes place when the moon covers the entire surface of the sun. At this point in time, only the sun's corona is visible. The skies darken even further, but not as dark as it would be at night. There's a distinct drop in temperature, and the birds and other wildlife are silent. This stage lasts around 4 minutes. Now we go back in reverse order. Third contact with the moon moving away from the sun. The diamond ring effect may be observed again, and Bailey's beads reappear, which are then followed by a thin crescent of the sun, which gradually gets bigger as the moon moves away from the sun. The shadow bands may be observed again, and we are back to the partial eclipse stage. The skies start to lighten, and wildlife begins to be more active. Finally, the last stages of the eclipse occur, and the moon completely leaves the face of the sun, and the full disk of the sun is visible. The last shadow on the sun disappears at the moment of forced contact. Bailey's beads are my favorite phenomenon that can be seen during a solar eclipse. They are distinct balls of light that are visible at the edge of the moon's circumference. These beads of light are sunlight that shines between the mountains and other landscape features on the moon. This was discovered by Francis Bailey in 1936, when he expected to see a smooth ring around the moon during a solar eclipse. Instead, he saw a line of light and dark spots that resembled beads on a string. The diamond ring effect occurs at the beginning and end of totality during a solar eclipse. As the last bits of sunlight shine through the valleys on the moon's edge, the faint corona of the sun is just becoming visible. It looks like a ring with a glittering diamond on it. Now, it's common sense not to stare directly at the sun with your naked eye, or you risk damaging your vision. And that advice holds true for a partially eclipsed sun as well. Only with specially purposed solar filters such as eclipse glasses or a handheld solar viewer can you safely look directly at the sun. Now, you always want to inspect your solar filter before use. If it's scratched, torn, or otherwise damaged, you want to throw it away. You always want to read any instructions printed on or packaged with your filter. If you have children that are using solar filters, always supervise them. And if you normally wear glasses like I do, you want to keep them on and put your Eclipse glasses on over them or hold your viewer in front of them. You want to stand still and cover your eyes with your Eclipse glasses or your solar viewer before looking directly at the bright sun. After looking at the sun, you want to turn away before removing your filter. Do not do not remove it while looking at the sun. Also, you do not want to use any kind of homemade filter or ordinary sunglasses, even really dark ones, because it's not safe. If you plan on using a telescope, binoculars, or a camera, make sure that you use a solar filter for that as well. Solar filters do the same job as Eclipse glasses to protect your eyes when using any of those devices. Always make sure your solar filter is securely attached to the front of the lens. Do not use your Eclipse glasses to look at an uneclipsed or partially eclipsed sun through an unfiltered camera, telescope, or binoculars. The concentrated solar rays could damage the filter and enter your eyes, causing a serious injury. Also, I've read that you could ruin your camera or your phone if you use it without a filter, so please be careful. So what else can we do while we're watching the eclipse? We can participate in citizen science with Globe Observer. Globe Observer is an international network of citizen scientists and scientists working together to learn more about our shared environment and changing climate. On this app, you can enter observations to help scientists better understand atmospheric changes during eclipses. Here's a short video on how you can use the Globe Observer app during the eclipse.
Planning to watch the eclipse? With just your smartphone and a thermometer, you can help contribute to our understanding of how the eclipse affects our atmosphere. Even if you will only experience a partial eclipse from your location, your observations are still valuable. Start by downloading the Globe Observer app. You will need a connection to the internet and access to email in order to set up an account. So you should plan to do this step before the day of the eclipse. Complete the brief in-app tutorials for land cover and clouds. Don't worry if the eclipse tool isn't visible in the app yet. It will appear closer to the eclipse. Next, find a thermometer that you can use to measure air temperature at your precise location. Remember, the temperature in your weather app is from a weather station that may be far away. You can check the accuracy of your thermometer by putting the probe in an ice bath. After 10 minutes, the thermometer should read between plus or minus 0.5 degrees Celsius. On the day of the eclipse, plan to take observations for an hour or two before and after the eclipse. The longer that you take measurements, the easier it will be to see changes in the air temperature. Be sure to pack everything you need to be safe and comfortable during the eclipse. Look for an area with a clear view of the sky, while being cautious of uneven ground, moving vehicles, and other hazards. Once you're set up, launch the Globe Observer app and open the Eclipse tool. You'll start by choosing between Celsius and Fahrenheit, and selecting the type of thermometer that you will be using. Next, use the land cover tool to document your observation site. You will take photos in each direction, as well as up and down. Include your thermometer in one of your photos. Enter your first temperature measurement and observe the sky using the Clouds tool. The app will prompt you to take temperature measurements every 5 to 10 minutes leading up to and after the eclipse. If you notice any changes in the clouds, use the Clouds tool to document these changes. Feel free to add captions to your photos with observations of the wind, animal behavior, and any other changes that you experience. Now you're all set to observe the eclipse. Remember to take a break during maximum eclipse to enjoy this incredible experience. Learn more at observer.globe.gov/eclipse and download the Globe Observer app from the Apple App Store or Google Play.
The Eclipse feature is a temporary tool on the Globe Observer app that opens only when there is a solar eclipse happening in the world. This feature will allow you to document air temperature and clouds during an eclipse. You do not need internet service to use the app once you have downloaded it, but you do want to make sure you download it and are familiar with it before the eclipse. During the eclipse, all you will need is a thermometer and your phone to contribute to contribute data to Globe. The app is currently in practice mode through the end of March, so you can enter data and it won't be recorded. After you download the app, and I'm sorry, that is only for the Eclipse module. After you download the app, it will ask you to go through a short setup. You will be asked to indicate the type of thermometer you're going to use and whether you want to enter data in Fahrenheit or Celsius. You can set automatic reminders to enter your temperature readings. You can also take optional cloud observations in the Eclipse module or as a separate feature in the Globe Observer app. It will ask you if you wish to do so and prompt you and give you instructions on how to enter the data, including an optional photo. Cloud observations include cloud type, overall visibility, and cloud level, among other things. I found when using this app that I really did learn a lot about clouds. The Globe Observer app has a lot of other great features and a lot of functionality that I didn't cover here, including modules for land cover and the cloud module, and even some badges that you can earn as you continue to add observations. Observations for Globe are eligible for AT. Yay. So make sure you download the app before the eclipse and you're familiar with it so you'll be ready to use it. If you use Globe during the eclipse in October, make sure that you check for updates because there have been quite a few since that time. Now, let's talk about the star of our show, the sun. That was my one terrible pun for the presentation. I promise there are no more. Just how big is the sun? It is the biggest object in our solar system. If the sun were the size of a basketball, then the Earth would be just a teeny tiny dot, maybe the size of the tip of a pencil. How many Earths do you think would fit across the sun? More than 100 Earths would fit across the sun, and more than 1 million Earths would fit inside it. Although the Earth is our closest star, the sun is our closest star, it's still really far away. It's more than 93 million miles away, or 150 kilometers, and it's really hot. The surface temperature is about 6,000 degrees Kelvin, or 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The surface of the sun seems constant, but it does change over time, sometimes quite a lot. Sunspots were first discovered by Galileo over 400 years ago. Each sunspot is 2,000 degrees cooler than the rest of the surface of the sun, and that's 2,000 degrees Kelvin. In some years, several sunspots may appear, and other years, none. On the average, the number of sunspots will cycle and reach a maximum every 11 years. The photo on the left shows a huge group of sunspots, about the size of Jupiter, that appeared during a partial solar eclipse in 2014. Solar flares are really impressive to watch. A solar flare is an intense burst of radiation coming from the release of magnetic energy associated with sunspots. Flares are our solar system's largest explosive events. They are seen as bright areas on the sun, and they can last from minutes to hours. I can watch this all day. The study of heliophysics attempts to understand the nature of space itself, including how the sun's magnetic fields and particles affect space throughout the solar system. Near Earth, such effects are known as space weather, which can interfere with our communications and satellite technology. Knowledge of our space environment also helps us understand the region through which spacecraft travel, as well as provide clues to the forces that forge the planets and other stars. The sun is made of ionized gas called plasma. It's about 4.6 billion years old and will continue to create energy via nuclear fusion at its core for another 5 billion years or so. The energy created in the core from the fusion of hydrogen into helium travels through the layers of the sun and radiates out into space. Our sun sends out a steady outpouring of particles and energy, the solar wind, as well as a constantly writhing magnetic system. This extensive dynamic solar atmosphere surrounds the sun, Earth, and planets and extends far out into the solar system. The sun goes through cycles. Each cycle lasts approximately 11 years, from minimum activity to maximum and back to minimum again. The last solar minimum was in December 2019, and the next solar maximum is forecasted to be in mid-2025. Solar maximum, seen on the right, occurs when the magnetic poles of the sun switch. The tangled, turbulent magnetic fields create a lot of activity on the sun, including sunspots, solar flares, and coronal mass ejections, called CMEs. These solar storms cause the solar winds to intensify, causing geomagnetic storms on Earth. Geomagnetic storms can cause interference with our technology and communication infrastructures. Understanding the behavior of the sun and how it affects Earth can help us predict space weather and better protect our satellites and our astronauts. For over a century, solar eclipses help scientists decipher the sun's structure, find evidence for the theory of general relativity, and discover a new element, among other things. Today, scientists still study eclipses to make new discoveries about the sun, Earth, and our space environment. Total solar eclipses are particularly important because they allow scientists to see a part of the sun's corona that's too faint to see, except when the bright light of the sun is blocked. Scientists can use instruments called coronagraphs to block the sun's light that mimic a total solar eclipse, but these instruments still struggle to reveal the region of the corona closest to the sun, where important processes still occur. NASA will be broadcasting the eclipse from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., so you can watch it from anywhere in the world. In Texas, they will be transmitting from Kerrville. So, if you wake up and see clouds in Dallas-Fort Worth on April 8th, don't worry, you can tune in to nasa.gov and still see the eclipse. NASA has some great online resources. If you would like more information about children's activities, citizen science opportunities, or you need bilingual material, please log on to nasa.gov to see what they have to offer. Thank you for joining me this evening. I think Stephanie has been monitoring the chat to see if anyone has any questions, or if anyone has any right now, let me know and I will do my best to answer them.
Thank you so much, Vicki. That was awesome. And those black
sharing.
Okay, those black bars kind of disappeared as you were on a slide for a little bit. So it must have been something to do with the control bar or something. So if anybody, I don't have any, wait, hang on. Okay, the first question, probably one of the most popular. Thank you, Vicki. Did I miss where I could maybe get some of those glasses? From Laura Schnell.
Okay, you can order them on Amazon. Actually, you can order them online from a lot of places. I know a lot of places that are offering viewing parties will have them. If you are going to a viewing party, you might want to check with them and see if they have any. If you buy them online, you usually have to order them in packages. I think the smallest package I've seen them is a package of 10. If you want to see the specs for what NASA deems a safe viewing glasses, then you go to NASA and they will show you what the specs are. You can't buy them from NASA, but they will tell you the specs to look for. I've also heard that a lot of optometrists will offer them for free as well.
Yeah, I
Oh, and
actually
I
got,
see Jean Suplick just said that some pharmacies are giving them out. She's heard as well. Go ahead, Stephanie.
oh no, I was just gonna say, I'm looking right now. I bought mine on Amazon a while back. It was a 4-pack. So, it was a smaller, but they're like actual like plastic glasses, but they're still available overnight for 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. tomorrow. So,
Right.
No.
If you buy the sturdier ones that are plastic instead of cardboard, then I think you can buy them in a smaller pack.
yeah.
So just input, my eye doctor is called My Eye Doctor. I walked, gave me 4 of them just by asking.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect.
Most optometrists or eye doctors, they have them for free because they want everybody to be safe.
Oh, that's great. Let's see. It looks like Michelle has also sent out a link for more information at texasmasternaturalist.org link. It's in the chat. Okay, let's see what other good to know that NASA will be broadcasting. Lots of great thank yous. Ah, good question. Do I need to cover the dog's eyes?
Yes, if you think your dog is going to be looking up at the sun, I would cover their eyes or keep them inside. I don't know that animals are tempted to look up at the sun. I think that as a rule, they don't look up at the sun or they would probably have damaged their eyes already.
It's a good question, though. You're right. I hadn't thought about that. Maybe keep them inside. If you're going to be pointing up and you think they're going to be tempted, maybe keep them inside. Okay. We have another question here. What was the name of the app to set up the test?
It's Globe, Globe Observer.
Do you, Vicki, can you open up that slide that had the QR code again, and maybe just in case anybody wants to download it?
Let me see if I can do that. Let me share my screen again.
And we have another question here. Can you remove your Eclipse glasses during totality?
Yes, you can. Just make very sure that you only do it during that little over 4 minutes during totality.
And then put them right back on.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay.
And let's see. Got a few people mentioning eye doctors, 7-Elevens that have, let me open back up chat.
Oh, there is the QR
It is.
code for Globe Observer.
Okay. Okay, somebody says, what will we see if it's cloudy and or raining? I guess just
If it's
dim.
cloudy, we're just going to see clouds or raining. Yeah.
And maybe the difference in the color of the
Yeah.
lighting.
Yeah, it might change the lighting, it might change the temperature, but especially the lower the clouds, the less we're going to see. That's why we tune into NASA to watch it online if we have to.
Somebody in chat also mentions Earth Sky, EARTHSKY.org. I don't know if that's just a resource link.
They have great resources. They have some great activities. They have, I think I saw that link pop up when we were talking about the Eclipse classes. So they might have some, I don't know if they sell products, but I know that I've been on their site a lot, and I know they have a lot of links or information about the Eclipse. So if you're interested about the Eclipse, I think they're a great resource.
Okay. Okay, and someone says, on the slides, the NASA broadcast is 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern time, so 12 to 3 Central.
Okay.
Okay. A question, what type of thermometer can be used?
They say any type of thermometer, they give an option of a liquid filled thermometer is the most inexpensive that you can use. If you have your own weather station at your house, because some people have the whole weather station set up, you can use that. Anything in between. So any kind of outdoor thermometer you can use.
All right, okay. Okay, does anybody, I've kind of run through all the questions. Does anybody have anything else they want to ask?
I just want to say I'm praying that the weather forecast changes. Because right now it says it's gonna rain.
Well, we're pretty far out, so I hope so too.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go a couple more seconds. Anybody else with any more questions? One comment that Amazon has a lot of digital outdoor thermometers that are inexpensive. Okay, thank you everybody for joining. We had a very big group today. No wonder with such a big event coming up. So I guess thank you so much, Vicki. This was very informative, and thanks for pulling this all together and offering to come share it with our fellow master naturalists. And everyone, be safe out there. Pray for clear skies and get you some glasses.
That's right. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks all. I'm gonna stop recording.